What happened while we were away, brought to you by Operation Midnight Hammer.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime.
The United States carried out the largest B-2 bomber operational strike in the country's history, deploying 7 B-2 Spirit bombers that flew east from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri to Iran. Another group of B-2s flew west over the Pacific to act as decoys. News reports emerged over the course of the day on Saturday that a group of bombers were headed to the U.S. base in Guam. The bombers that ended up striking Iran flew nearly 40 hours nonstop round trip, refueling several times. Once in Iran airspace, the B-2s linked up with other U.S. military fighter jets who acted as escorts for the package. Some of the B-2s dropped a payload of 6 massive ordnance penetrator bombs on the Fordow nuclear facility, while another set of B-2s struck 2 other nuclear facilities in Iran, and submarines positioned some 400 miles away struck those latter nuclear facilities using Tomahawk cruise missiles. The attack unfolded over about 25 minutes on Saturday night, U.S. time. Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, crucially pointed out regarding the air operation.
We are currently unaware of any shots fired at the U.S. strike package on the way in. We are unaware of any shots fired at the package on the way out.
So American bombers and their crews flew over 18 hours one direction. American submarines positioned themselves around 400 miles away from their targets, and multiple branches of the armed forces coordinated with nary a leak to carry out a strike that unfolded in under a half an hour that seriously crippled Iran's nuclear ambitions, and Iran had no idea it was happening till the bombs exploded. Agree or disagree with the actions? That is some scary, impressive stuff. President Trump addressed the nation on Saturday night.
For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue.
Iran has made threats since the strike, and Iran's parliament over the weekend seemed to approve the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, which would cripple oil exports to China. This morning, Trump posted on Truth Social that the Department of Energy must drill, baby, drill. Vice President JD Vance addressed concerns about U.S. involvement in the Israel-Iran war.
I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents, and now we have a president who actually knows how to accomplish America's national security objectives. So this is not going to be some long drawn out thing. We've got in, we've done the job of setting their nuclear program back. That program is now destroyed. They tried to build a conventional missile program to attack neighbors in the region. That missile program has shown to be a failure. They have funded terrorism aggressively in the region, and now most of their terrorism proxies are destroyed. The Iranians are clearly not very good at war. Perhaps they should follow President Trump's lead and give peace a chance.
Now America waits for the fallout, no pun intended. The Department of Homeland Security issued a bulletin over the weekend warning of a heightened threat environment and cyber attacks in the United States after the strikes on Iran. Border Czar Tom Homan says one of his biggest concerns after the Biden administration's open border policy was the threat of sleeper cells.
So I pulled numbers this morning just from a CBP under Joe Biden. There was 1,272 nationals of Iran released in the country between OFO and the Border Patrol. And you compare that to the Trump administration, 0. Right, 0 releases. And right now, because of President Trump's leadership, we have the most secure border in my lifetime, most secure border in the history of this nation. So we have a secure border. That was President Trump's big win on securing this nation. So we're not releasing people in this country. Special interest aliens aren't crossing that border undetected. But under Joe Biden, we had over 10 million people cross that border. But my biggest concern from day one, beyond the fentanyl, beyond the sex trafficking women and children, were the 2 million known gotaways. Over 2 million people crossed that border. We don't know who they are, where they came from, because they got away, because Border Patrol is so overwhelmed with the humanitarian crisis that Biden created that over 2 million people crossed the border and got away. That is my biggest concern, and that's what created the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen.
Back in the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu praised America for its help.
Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons.
Israel kept up its strikes within Iran and announced this morning it targeted 6 more crucial Iranian military facilities deep within that country. And finally, back at home, a purportedly crazed gunman targeted Cross Point Community Church in Wayne, Michigan yesterday during a church service. However, before he could even make it into the building, a deacon at the church noticed the heavily armed and armored man and ran him over with his pickup truck before church security guards came over and eliminated the threats. Police say the suspected shooter was Brian Anthony Browning, a 31-year-old man from Romulus, Michigan. He carried an AR-15 rifle with more than a dozen fully loaded magazines, a semi-automatic handgun with an extended magazine, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. According to Wayne police, his mother is a member of the church, and he attended services 2 or 3 times over the course of the last year. There was danger. Men saw it. Men acted. And dozens of women, children, and other men at the church were protected. There's a lesson in there somewhere. And that's what happened while we were away.